application and getting the necessary documentation and medical, backup for their application. So that might help people move to the X program on the front end, which would A, save state dollars, and B, be really good for the clients because it's a better program. And in the bill, which we don't have detailed up here, there are some, here they are, the performance goals, where how many people will be still screened within 30 days to see if they're eligible to move to Medicaid, and how many of them will be transferred to the expedited. How fast all of that will happen, because the legislature was really focused on moving people who it's appropriate to move as quickly as possible. And I think that this is the contract. It's starting as a pilot project in King, Pearson, Spokane counties, which is really a lot of the GAU population in our state. And again, I think the deadline has slid a little bit. Not all of the details of that are yet in place. But I mean, if you look at that, 40% of the people who've been on for almost 24 months, could have been for X. If we could have moved them earlier in their public assistance career, that would have been a better result for everyone all the way around. Okay, so these are the details of the what the contract is supposed to include, and I think you'll see that it's all focused on getting the medical information to the treating provider as quickly as possible and assisting the client in developing their medical records as completely as possible in order to support the switch to the SSI program. Another facet of this legislation is the housing voucher program. And there was strong feelings in the Washington State Senate that perhaps the entire program should be what is it? Care Not Cash. Care Not Cash program, and it should just be housing. And we scrambled to try to demonstrate a fact that I think all of you have engraved in your hearts, which is that there really just isn't that much housing available for $339 a month. And so either it was going to cost a lot more, or we couldn't really go there. And so in this case, it's a pilot project. It's starting with a subset of the population. And it'll be interesting to see how this comes out. If a new applicant is homeless and chemically or drug addicted, then they are required, if it's available, to accept housing rather than cash. And so the question here is, will that make, and it'll be dry housing, that's the other thing. Will that make people turn away in droves? Will the GAU rolls drop dramatically because people refuse to take the Care Not Cash, and thus there will be a lot of savings in the program, so we'll have enough money to pay for the housing for the people who take the Care Not Cash? Or will it not really impact the rolls in that way? And so this is a program that's going to be jointly developed between the Department of Commerce and DSHS, because the Department of Commerce, you all probably work with them, run or manage a lot of the low-income housing programs. And this project also has gotten off to a little bit of a slow start. They're having regular meetings, but there really isn't a program design yet. I think the latest update was that they're trying to agree on a definition of homeless, which a little bit like counting 24 months. The definition of homeless, different people see it different ways. And I think for me, because I guess it's because it's so unknown, this is the riskiest part of the bill. We don't know which way this is going to turn out, although I can see that people in the room have opinions, but in my mind, it's unknown. Oh, right. So the fail-safe here is that if the Department of Commerce certifies that there is no supply of housing in a particular county, then there won't be a housing voucher program. It was no one's goal to give someone a housing voucher when there was no housing available to them. And in the capital budget, some additional funding, which I think was $5 million, but that might not be right, was put into the Housing Trust Fund to develop housing, particularly for this population. But as you know, that funding goes into the pipeline, that housing won't come online immediately. And so I think this whole housing voucher aspect will, develop more in years to come. I don't anticipate people losing their benefits this fall through the housing voucher program, or people getting a housing voucher this fall. It's just too gooey right now. There just isn't a clear program plan. Now, another thing that we keep thinking has to be true and keeps seeming not to be true is that a lot of GA recipients are veterans and could be eligible for either medical support or cash support through the Veterans Administration. And so the legislation also provides that DSHS will inquire about people's participation in the armed forces, and then will coordinate with the Department of Veterans Affairs to determine eligibility. Now, I just heard a headline the other day that Veterans Affairs is expanding the number of people who can qualify for disability benefits based on not EPSDT, sorry. PTSD, sorry. And so, again, I don't know how immediate that will be, but that may really expand the number of people who are eligible for veterans benefits and move them again from the state budget to the federal budget. And enhanced cooperation between state agencies is certainly always a good idea. Oh, and that ends my presentation. Okay. I guess I'm not taking questions now. Oh, well, that's a really important point. I'm going to say that again through the microphone. Representative Dickerson says that I got it wrong, and it doesn't. The housing for the housing voucher program does not have to be dry housing. So that changes that aspect altogether. So erase what I said and remember what she said.